guys, gals, and my non-gender conforming pals, welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, then welcome. I would love if you would hit that subscribe button down below, click the little bell to be notified of all my future uploads, and let's get this party rolling. Alright, in today's video, I am sharing my favorite palette from every brand that I own. There are 42 palettes for me to talk about. This is going to be long, so buckle up and get ready because we're also going to have a funny story time before we get started. So if you guys are into that, then definitely keep on watching. If you guys want to know what all I'm wearing, I did a full face of testing out Thrive Cosmetics. That will be coming, that will be the video that's coming next. So stay tuned for that. But, okay, who else out there has kids who think you are embarrassing? Oh, just me? Just me? Oh. According to my 7-year-old daughter, I embarrass her. So, okay. During the pandemic, they have been doing like online schooling, okay? And they've been doing it with grandma because grandma gets to work from home. I unfortunately work in healthcare and I can't work from home. So they go out to grandma's every morning. Grandma gets to work from home. She doesn't go anywhere. And they do their Zoom. Well, grandma does taxes. So it's tax season. And it's one of the busiest seasons. So I went out there to go help them with their schooling. Make sure they get on time. Help them with their homework. Or whenever they're doing like sometimes their teachers will like assign them something and they have to like finish it in like a certain amount of time and then go back onto like the Zoom class and like discuss it. Yeah, okay. So she was like, Mom, we're getting ready to do like this class thing. I need your help adding. And she's in first grade. So right now they're working on adding numbers like 25 plus 30, like stuff like that, or like 30 plus 10. And you know, apparently you have to do it like this certain way. Okay, I don't know. Okay, I'm used to doing like, yeah, stack the letters, the numbers, and then, you know, you add the 0 and the 1, and then you write 1, and then you add like the 4 and the 3, and then you write 7. And okay, apparently that's not the way that they're doing it, but that's okay. All right, so anyways, I'm like going over there, okay, and my makeup was done because I have a New Year's resolution where I'm going to do my makeup every day. I do not have a New Year's resolution where I'm going to dress nice every day. Because honestly, if I can be in fuzzy PJs all day, I'm down. Like, don't tempt me with a good time. I'm down. Okay? Fuzzy PJs, fuzzy blanket, watching serial killer movies, documentaries, listening to podcasts, whatever. Right? The usual. I mean, everybody does that. Okay, so I was like helping my son most of the morning. So we get there, I drop off at grandma's, whatever. And Charlene's like, okay, Mom, well, I need help. And I'm like, okay, I'm coming. I'm just helping we're just finishing up this one thing with your brother, and then I will be right there. Okay, so here I go, strolling over. I help her with her homework. We get the answers. Okay. Well, then her teacher is like, she's like, okay, Mom, it's time for Zoom, go away. And I'm like, well, honey, like, I just want to make sure that, like, we did this right. I want to watch your teacher. She's like, Mom, you can't be in the camera. And I'm like, well, honey, okay, but, like, you know, why? I don't think it's that big of a deal. I just want to make sure that we're doing it right, and I want to be able to see her and how she's doing it because I'm used to doing it this way, and you guys are doing it not like this at all. Like, at all. This is not what you guys are doing. And she was like, Mom, why would you wear makeup with your PJs? She's like, and why would you wear PJs when I have school? She goes, Mom, everybody's gonna laugh at me. And I'm like, for what? And she goes, because you're wearing ridiculous looking Grinch PJs and you have your makeup that looks good and your hair's in a ponytail and now people are gonna think I'm weird too. And then she started crying and then I was like, okay, I guess I'll just stand right on over here. So needless to say, from now on, if my daughter is doing Zoom and I have to take off the day to help her with schooling, that I cannot wear PJs, okay? I'm not allowed to wear PJs, and that my makeup should still be done, and that she doesn't really care that much about my hair. So yeah, lessons from a 7-year-old. If you have a 7-year-old, make sure you're not wearing your PJs. Make sure you're not giving them kisses on the camera. Make sure you have your makeup done, apparently, and make sure they don't care about your hair. The end. That's the end of story time. All right. Okay, so guys, I own quite a few palettes. I have a very large collection. I have 42 palettes to get through to tell you what my favorites from each brand are. So go ahead, buckle up, and let's get started. Okay, so let's just start it off with some Fenty Beauty. I only have 2 Fenty Beauty palettes. They're these little snap shadow ones or whatever. Okay. My favorite is that I own is the number 4. I actually haven't used this a ton, but it is very nice and soft. So it's not one of those, like, you know, as you can tell, like, I swatched these 2 shades, okay? And it's not like showing up the best. This is like a very like light palette. So I do like using it for days when I'm going for something very soft, very subtle. So I don't use it a whole lot because I'm not always really going for that look. But this is overall my favorite from Fenty. I don't really own, these are the only 2 that I own from Fenty. I don't really plan on purchasing any other eyeshadow palettes from Fenty. I just don't think the quality is all that is really there. Again, I swatched those 2 shadows and not a lot happened. So I'm gonna keep these 2, but yeah, number 4 is my favorite. From Pure Cosmetics, I have the Trolls World Tour in the shade Classical. Okay, I don't own a lot of like Pure. I own like the Trolls one and the Pure Times X Raw Beauty Christy. Okay, first of all, the inside of this smells amazing. It's like cocoa, like a vanilla cocoa kind of scent. I love that. And whenever I wear this palette, people always compliment my eye looks. Like, I've used the Raw Beauty Christy Pure, you know, collaboration, and I just did not get as many compliments on my eye look as I did using this. And I've used like the other ones, like I've got like 5 of these little ones that, like, there's like a pink one and a purple one and a blue one and like a red one. I don't know, there's like a whole bunch of these, but it's always this palette consistently that I get the most compliments on. Like, okay, these shimmers are like beautiful. Like, look at those. They're just like so stunning. The mattes are easy to work with, super blendable. Just overall like a really good palette from the brand. If you guys have other palette recommendations from Pure, let me know. I haven't had like a ton of success. Like, I did try the Barbie one, I think, and it was okay, but again, this is my favorite. Okay, the next is from Sir John Luminous. I think there's only one palette that he's done, or I don't know. I only own one of the palettes, and it's the Lion King palette. And this will probably be forever like one of my favorite palettes. I love the Lion King. Growing up, when I was little, I would watch the Lion King every single day when I came home from school. Literally, come home from school, eat my snack, give myself my shot because I'm a type 1 diabetic. Happened since I was 2. And then go and downstairs and watch the Lion King every single day. Like, that was my routine. And then I would turn on Animal Planet. Okay, that's because then Steve Irwin would come on. Okay, and I thought it was going to be Steve Irwin when I grew up. If you guys want story time on that whole thing, let me know. For Uoma, I only have 2 palettes. I have this one right here and the Carnival palette. This is my favorite. Carnival has a color story that I am more interested in. Like, this one is not like a super huge color story that I'm like, you know, wildly into, I guess. But I just think it just really performs better than the Carnival one. I don't know if it's because the Carnival one has like more pastels. Overall, this brand is like okay in terms of eyeshadow palette. I'm not like super in love and think that this is like the greatest thing ever, which is why I've gotten very little use out of it, but you know, it's nice. Okay, my favorite from Nars. So this is the first, if I can get it open, this is the first Nars palette that I have ever purchased. Just because I always thought that they were just like super expensive for what they are, and truthfully they are. But oh my gosh, I literally cannot get this open. There we go. But yeah, this one right here is my favorite. This is the Afterglow eyeshadow palette. I love this one. I don't know why I love it as much as I do. I've gotten like quite a bit of use out of this. Like, as you can tell, like some of the shade, like this one right here and like this one over here are just like super used, super abused. It's got like a very glittery, chunky kind of a shimmer into that. So if you're not into that, you won't like these. But I just love the looks that I create from this. And it almost kind of reminds me of the Too Faced Gingerbread Spice palette. It just doesn't, yeah, it doesn't have a scent or anything. And the packaging is kind of like an odd packaging. I know they do like these weird, it's like definitely like, I don't know, like raised and bumps. And so it's not like my favorite packaging in the world, but like I feel like these shadows just like perform so good. Okay, my favorite from MAC is the Selena palette. I have used this about one time, I would say. Okay, I love Selena. We're just gonna talk about this. Okay, I just remember being like little and like watching the Selena movie with my sister. So good. So like a whole like commemoration with her and stuff. Like I love that. I love that whole aspect. I love the little like thing that you get on the inside. I love the mirror that you get. And then I just like think that like the shadows really perform well. So overall, this was like such a good palette from MAC. My favorite palette from Milani is the Gilded Nude palette. This again is one I reach into when I really want something nice, soft, subtle, and beautiful. It doesn't have a lot of like shimmer shades in it. It's mostly a lot of mattes, and I do really like Milani's matte formulas a lot more than I like the shimmer formula. So I really like that option where I don't have a lot of mattes. But yeah, this one is just, it's so beautiful, and it's so good for just like a light, airy day. Okay, my favorite from Charlotte Tilbury that's because it's the only one I own, is the Walk of No Shame Luxury palette. I will say her quality is pretty nice. I just don't know if it's really worth like the price point that it's worth. So if you guys remember the video that I did, this was like one of my very first YouTube videos I've ever done, and I had bought the Walk of No Shame. Okay, these two shades, once you start blending them, look the same. And then this shade right here, okay, I'm literally digging my finger into it. Okay, and it's not like coming off like super nice, and I'm like digging. Okay, that's how much I get just after digging into it. It's not soft, it's not super soft, it feels really hard. I don't know if I just got a bad one, but you know, I just don't think it's worth the price point. But considering this is the only one that I have, it's my favorite. All right, my favorite from Nabla is going to have to, oh my gosh, this shade right here just fell out. Yeah, one of my matte shades right here just fell out. I just had to repress it. Okay. This is the Nabla Wildberry palette. First of all, I love like purpley pink tones. It really makes my like eye color pop. It's like a hazel with a little bit tad more green in it than any other color. But this shade right here, Alchemy 2.0, is so beautiful to me. Like it's like this like champagne, I don't know if you can tell on camera. It's like this like champagne, and then it goes like purple, pink kind of shift to it. Oh, like can you see that? Like it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's beautiful. I love this palette for the reason. The Alchemy shade is beautiful. Here's another one of those like little shimmers. Again, just like another really beautiful one. One just popped it out and broke, so there's that. So be careful with it. But yeah, overall, love this. My favorite from ABH probably comes as no surprise, as I have raved about this before. It is the ABH and Jackie Aina palette. I'm so sad that you can't get this anymore, but I love this. I love how there's some really like deep, rich tones in here. I feel like there's not a lot of ABH palettes that really have that and really provide that for people with deeper skin tones. So I really love that, but also like it's got like neutrals, it's got like the pinks and the purples, and it's just got like some really fun like shimmer shades that can kind of go with anything. I really like this shade called like Sponsored. It's like this like green brown, see like on my hand there, yeah, you can start seeing the shift. Love that. That's such a beautiful shade. I love everything about this palette. I love the color story, the colors, the performance, everything. This was like one of their best palettes, and I wish it was a permanent palette. All right, from Mel Cosmetics, I have the Rust palette. This is currently the only one I have in my collection. I did used to have the Smoke Sessions palette, and that just was not good. I felt like the shimmers were really nice, but like the mattes that they provided were super like lackluster. I really felt like I really had to work with them and build with them. And then just the fact that you only get like one matte for like each side, I was like, well, now this is like an accent palette, like a complementary palette, and I just don't really care that much for complementary palettes. I really just want one palette that I can just like pull out and use, and in the event maybe I want something different on the eyes, maybe go and reach for like a super soft shadow from ColourPop or something like that. But just to have a palette with only one shade in it was a huge no. But overall, like this palette I feel like does perform very well. Mel has a palette formula that you do kind of have to play around with, get to know, that sort of a thing. But once you figure it out, I think it's fine. This was probably one of the better palettes. I felt like I didn't have a lot of issues with the blendability like I did with the Smoke Session. So I'm gonna keep this around. My favorite e.l.f. palette is the little pumpkin pie palette. Overall, these like little bite-sized ones I generally love to use, but I just love this on days where I'm like, oh man, I'm in a hurry, I've got to go. Throw this in the crease, outer corner, use one of these shades, both of these shades, or throw this one like all over the lid, buff it all over, and then throw one of the shimmers on. Like I can be out the door in no time flat just trying to use this. I don't have to think about it. The quality is incredible, and this is just a color story that I keep reaching for over all the other ones. For the Believe Beauty palette, I chose Love Struck. Again, it's got like those purpley tones, and okay, I think last time I said like this was like $10. Okay, no, it's $5. So you get 6 shades for $5, and the shimmers are so creamy. So there's a matte, and here's a shimmer. It's so beautiful, and for $5, it's super easy to work with. I can easily like blend out the shadows, create like a super quick, simple look with this palette. This is just like such a great palette, especially like if you're on a budget and you really want something that's gonna be worth the money. This is definitely one of them. Okay, Marc Jacobs. My favorite is the Terrific. It's their holiday collection one. The other one that I have is like the Extravaganza palette, and I think if you guys remember that video, that was not a great palette in my opinion for the price point. So this one is definitely my favorite. Again, it has that adorable like purpley pink color story that I am in love with. For Colored Rain, it's the Queen of Hearts palette. I bought this palette when it finally came back in stock. So I wasn't really into makeup when this was like a huge deal and it sold out and everybody was like wanting it. Like I just wasn't really into makeup at the time. When I finally became oh my gosh, why can't I talk? When I finally got into makeup, this was, back in stock. So I bought it. I then purchased some of their like mystery boxes is what they're called, where I got some like other palettes. Like I got like the Rust palette and like the little blue palette. But this palette is so good. Like it's no wonder that it kept selling out, because like the formula in this is just so nice. The color story also extremely nice. Like this was like such a good purchase, and I now know why like this sold out. Okay, my favorite from Storybook Cosmetics is this little Red Riding Hood palette. As you can tell, like I've gotten some use out of it. This one I bought like off the swap shop because somebody had a BoxyCharm and they didn't want this. I do have other ones. I've got like the Mean Girls, I've got the Harry Potter, and I've got like the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And they came with a Starry Night one, but I'm not really interested in that color story. So out of all of them, this one is kind of more my color story. It's easier to create a look. I just feel like sometimes with some of their palettes, they try to just kind of throw looks to, you know, throw colors together that like make sense for like that movie or whatever. And you don't always necessarily get the best color story. But I think this color story is super nice. You have these 3 mattes that you compare with any one of these shimmers. Such a great palette, easy to work with. Blendability is super nice. Shimmers are nice and soft. Overall, such a great palette. Okay, so for the Sigma palettes, I went with Enchanted. Again, this is the only one that I have, and it is a very nice and very beautiful formula. I like the way they work together. I really love the shade Metamorphosis, which is kind of the same as like the Dollars from Jackie Aina. Here it is swatched. Again, like these are just really like super nice. Like the shimmers are fantastic. This is the only one that I tried from Sigma. I do really want to try the Corta Rosa palette, but it seems like every time like I try to go and buy that palette, it's sold out, and then I just like never think to like look back at that palette, like look back and like try to purchase that palette. And then the times that I'm reminded, I go and look and it's sold out. So it's like, maybe I'm not destined to have that palette, but I did get the Sigma Enchanted one, and I'm really, really, really enjoying the formula. All right, from Lorac is the Noir palette. This is relatively new to me, but this is definitely like a very nice, cool toned palette. You have all of your mattes right up here, and then you just have a wide variety of like shimmers, and there are a couple like satiny kind of shades. You've got ones that are like chunkier, like, I don't know, metallic shades. So here's like a shimmer, and then here's one of those like chunkier metallic shades. I mean, they're just, it's beautiful. It's a standout product. The mirror is nice. I really thought that like for the amount that you get, so this is like a $35 palette, and you get 18 shades. And for as beautiful and metallic and foiled as these are and how well they all work together, I really found it was worth my money. Whenever I want to go for a cool tone look, like a deeper, darker, richer cool tone look, this is definitely what I'm like diving into. All right, next up, my favorite from Give Me Glow. I'm sure most of you know by now. I do have other palettes from them. Oh, almost dropped it. That could have been bad. But the Vivid Rose palette, it is beautiful. These shadows are incredible. I'm wearing Give Me Glow on my eyes right now with another palette. It is so unbelievably good. I cannot even begin to tell you how good these are. It's one of those where you just have to experience it for yourself, and once you experience it, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. The mattes, pigmented, but yet blendable. The shimmers are just foiled and metallic and really just like stand out on the eye. This is a superb brand, and the reason why this one is my favorite out of all of them is because it's a purpley pink palette, and just like it, no matter what colors I dip into, they always make my eyes pop. They're so good, easy to work with. I wish I could like say like put all their palettes and be like, they're all #1 from the brand, but okay, I had to pick one, and so I just went with this one. Okay, next up from Scott Barnes. Again, this is the only one that I own, but it's so good, and it's making me want to go and buy his other palettes. Like, the mattes are just so blendable. They work so effortlessly together. The shimmers are just so nice. There's just something about his formula that is absolutely beautiful. And I think that like everybody should try it. I don't know. It was really nice, and I got it on sale, so that made it even better. But like, just like the mattes and how nice and easily they just blend with like little effort, and they blend well together with no effort. And then the shimmers just come over and take over the eye look. It's so good. Such a good brand. I love it. All right, next up from Jeffree Star, my favorite palette from him is, I can't get it open, but it's going to have to be the Blood Sugar palette. overall, like, none of his color stories really like reach out to me, but his formula does. And I've probably gotten the most use out of this palette. Whenever I use this palette, I get the most compliments, more compliments than I get from any of his other palettes. I get more compliments than whenever I use the Orgy palettes, whenever I use the Blue Blood, which Blue Blood wouldn't be my favorite anyways because I'm not a huge blue person. But I just really like the formula of this, and the fact that it took forever to get my hands on, and I finally was able to do it one day. Okay, my favorite Huda Beauty palette is gonna have to go to the Naughty palette. Okay, this slippery shade down here that looks like 2020, and you know, basically wraps up what 2020 was like in an eyeshadow shade. Okay, that's what it is. That's what it looks like it is. I don't really care for that, but the rest of them, the mattes were beautiful. They work together. I feel like you have a large variety of like tones, light, deep. I bought like a whole bunch of Huda Beauty palettes, and there's some of them I haven't even used because I just keep, whenever I want to reach for a Huda Beauty palette, I just keep coming to this. Okay, next up for ColourPop is my Hocus Pocus Gather Round Sisters palette. Okay, I know that like this launch was 100% a shit show. It was not worth anyone's time. It's horrible, but I love this palette. I went and stood in line at my Ulta for 2 hours. I was able to get the collection. I love the color story, first of all. I love the artwork. I love everything about it. So this is why it's number one. Okay, for Laura Lee Los Angeles, my favorite is the Nudie number 2. I feel like it does kind of look a lot like the original Nudie one, but the reason why I like this one more is because it's a little bit smaller, and I feel like the colors are, like, all the colors in here are ones that really speak to me. Not saying like the ones in like the Nudie palette don't, but it's just so large. And then this one I literally just look at and I can instantly like create a look in my mind, whereas the Nudie one I kind of have to sit there and kind of look around just because of the way that they're placed. But this is beautiful. The formula was really beautiful. I had just tried it out on camera recently, where I told a hilarious story about where I got stuck in the tub when I was 30 weeks pregnant with my daughter. Yeah. So, yeah, definitely check out that video. All right, my favorite from BH is the Sweet Shop Cotton Candy palette. I don't own like a ton from BH, but I do own a few. And this Sweet Shop palette just like stole my whole heart. I love the pinks. I love the purples. I love like how well they blend together. I love like all the different shades, the matte shades down here, and then like the wide variety of shimmer shades. I love that. I did have to work a little bit with this shade right here, which is the matte called Sugar Plum. But it wasn't like one of those where I just, like, I couldn't get it to work. It was just one where I kind of had to spend a little bit more time blending and building up. But I mean, beautiful. Every look I've created from this is just absolutely beautiful. I love it. This just like climbed its way to the top in BH land. For Makeup Revolution or iHeart Revolution or all the revolutions, whatever. My favorite is this new one that I tried out. It's the Tasty Peach. This one has the best quality for the palettes that I have. Like, I have the Nightmare Before Christmas palettes. Those weren't great. I have like this chili pepper one and a avocado one. The chili ones I don't really care for. The avocado one was nice, but I just don't feel like the quality really compared to how it compares here in this peach palette. This one is definitely super pigmented, and then I like how you can go either way. So you can go with some golds or you can go with some pinks, and they have like shades that kind of complement one another to easily go with your eye look. So overall, this one was my favorite. Okay. For my Lunar Beauty, it's probably no surprise I ranked all my Lunar Beauty in a video a few months ago. It's the Moonspell palette. Okay, this palette is extraordinary. First of all, this packaging. It looks like a book. Okay, that's pretty cool. It comes with a nice size mirror, and then again, like this color story, you can go for like a purpley pink look, a neutral look, or something more wild with like some greenish teal kind of shades. I just love like the variety. I love the quality. There's never a look from this palette that I have done that I do not like. I love everything about this palette. I literally just want to, like, I don't know, set it up back there and just have it look so cute. I don't know. Ooh, I could maybe take like, because like my, okay, I'm on a whole roll now. I have like these Storybook Cosmetics that look like books. And then this looks like a book. And the Hocus Pocus one looks like a book. So I can make my own little bookshelf back there. Okay, anyways, off on that tangent. But I love this palette. I rave about this palette. It is such a good palette. Okay, next up, they only have released one palette, and I do not know if this brand will be releasing any other palettes, but it is the Fenty Beauty Texture Neutrals Volume 1 palette. I love this palette. This concept was such an interesting concept where you have like, okay, right here, you have a row of shades at the bottom, and then it just goes up. So you've got like a matte, a sequence, a shimmer, and then a glitter. I love that. And I have gotten like a lot of use out of this. Like it's super dirty. This was definitely like one of my most raved about palettes when it came out in like what, 2019. I would recommend that to everybody. And still to this day, when people are like, I just want ideas of like some good eyeshadow palettes, I will still, you know, like say, hey, if you're, you know, are newer or aren't really sure what kind of formulas you really like, you know, check this out. That'll kind of give you an idea for kind of formulas that you like. I really think it's a beginner friendly palette. I love it. For NYX, I only have a few NYX palettes, but this Ultimate Utopia palette, I love this. Like, I feel people complain about the NYX palettes, and then that's true because I've used like that Modern Dreamer, like the pastel one, that was crap. And a couple of their other palettes aren't that great, but this one is fairly good. I'll swatch some of the mattes. Like the mattes feel like nice and soft and buttery. What do you see? Like it's nice, it's buttery. If you aren't used to NYX and are really just wanting to kind of like dip your toes in, I would say try to check this one out. I think it's still at Ulta, or they have like mini ones, and I can find the mini ones still in my Walmart. Like it's good. Okay, next up from Juvia's Place is the Nomad Palette. I love this palette. First of all, the artwork, beautiful, okay? And then I just really love how I can just easily open up this palette and come up with a look. I've got one shimmer, so it's not like, oh, I guess there's two shimmers. There's two shimmers. This one's a little bit darker, so I would put that like out in my outer corner, but like all over the lid is like this like nice little shimmer right here, this champagne silver kind of color. It's beautiful. I love it. Overall, this is such a nice, easy to work with palette. It's pigmented, it's creamy. It doesn't take a lot of effort to make it work. Juvia's Place just overall has like really good palettes, and this is no exception, but the color story, the artwork is what makes it number one. Okay, so for Natasha Denona, I have the Glam palette. If you would have asked me a year ago what my favorite was, I would have been like the gold palette. And that remained my favorite until this one came out, and I was able to just like play around with it and create a look. I love this. I really, really love this for like a nice, cool toned, soft gray kind of a vibe. This is what I reach for. Usually if I'm trying to go for anything really cool toned, I reach for this. The Noir one, I reach if I want something a little bit more smoky of a like cool toned eye. But like overall, if I'm looking for a cool tone eyeshadow palette, I'm going for this. Okay, let's talk about Tarte. This is one where a lot of people probably aren't going to agree with me, but it's the Tarte Aspen Ovard. Like, I have used this. It smells so good. It's one of those where it's going to give you some very light, airy, beautiful eye looks. It's not one where you're going to have a lot of drama, a lot of payoff. It's definitely very light and lit from within, and really definitely something if you want something for like a bolder lip. And I don't know what it is about it, but I have other Tarte palettes, but I don't know what it, if I'm going to reach for a Tarte palette, I just always go for the Aspen Ovard, and everything I create, I have no negative things to say about it. We only have 9 more palettes to talk about. Like, wow, I'm actually making it through this a lot faster than I thought I was going to. All right, so for Kylie Cosmetics, it's the Santa Baby palette. I feel like the stuff she's coming out with now like aren't that great, and I feel like most of the palettes that she did come out with aren't that great. I feel like it's very comparable to ColourPop, but overall color story wise, this is my favorite. It has my favorite kind of like colors of shimmers, like this Xmas Crunch one is like one of my favorites. Like, look how, like, that's beautiful. So yeah, I'm not really buying a whole lot from Kylie anymore, but you know, when I did, like, that one is probably my favorite. Okay, let's talk about from Nomad Cosmetics. It's the Latte palette, not the Latte 2. I don't own that palette. I also don't really own a lot from Nomad Cosmetics. I have the Berry and the Rust, and then this. This I just really love for when I really want a bold neutral eye. Her shades are so pigmented, so really just one swipe and it's just very bold, very pigmented. So this is what I'm reaching for when I really do want something nice and bold and pigmented, and something that I can pair like on the lower lash line to kind of add some color in. So overall, yeah, this is a great palette. Next up is Profusion. I did a look using the Mirage palette, but I have this palette right here, the Nude Bliss palette. I find I like this one more. It doesn't have near as many glitters. It only has one glitter shade. I feel like the shimmers are really nice. I feel like every single matte in here plays nicely with one another. And I feel like in some of the other ones, like the more colorful palettes, sometimes the colorful ones are a little bit harder to work with. But this one being an all nude palette, I didn't have any issues. Okay, from Peachy Queen, it's gonna be the Pumpkin Spice palette. Again, these shades are super pigmented. I really like how I can just like open this up and I automatically can create a look with it. The artwork is like, I love the artwork. I think Peachy Queen does like a really, really nice job with like the artwork on their palettes. Sometimes our color stories don't always really reach out to me, but this one definitely did. And it's very nice, very pigmented, blendable, easy to work with. Definitely go check that one out if you're interested in the brand. I would say that would be definitely a good starter palette. From Sydney Grace is the Mel Thompson Tiny Marbles palette. I don't own anything else from Sydney Grace. It's really hard to kind of get a hold of her stuff, but this color story is absolutely beautiful. And Mel did such a fantastic job. Sydney Grace shadows, even if you don't get your hands on this one, don't have any interest in it, Sydney Grace's shadows are really, really up there with Give Me Glow. They are so pigmented, easy to blend out, easy to work with. It is overall just such an amazing palette, and definitely a brand I would say definitely go and check out and definitely go and support. It's the Mcgrath Seduction Bronze palette. I was never really interested in any of Mcgrath's palettes because it was like $125 for a palette with that many shades. No thank you. Absolutely not. But this one came out and it's the color story is beautiful, and this is what got me to fall in love with Mcgrath is this palette right here. I have since purchased the Divine Rose, the Divine Rose 2, and like the Midnight Sun one. So now I have 4 of her palettes. $500 later. I have 4 of her palettes. I love the quality. And granted, you know, like the Divine Rose 2 has like that special shade in it, like the Trio Chrome or something. No, I still love this palette. I love the color story. I love the like special shades that are in there. Like there's nothing about this that I don't like. I mean, now there's just like everything that I don't like in her other palettes, but this reigns supreme. It just does. 4 more palettes. All right, next up is from Too Faced, and it's the Gingerbread Spice palette. Okay, first of all, it smells like gingerbread spices. I love the cute, like, little artwork on it. I love how, like, the mirror up here has, like, a little gingerbread man. I love the color story. Granted, this shade right here, what is this called? Sugar Daddy. Like, that takes a lot of work to use. It does. It's a terrible shade. But, like, the rest of them are so good. Like, I feel like if Too Faced put the amount of effort into any palette like they do with these in the formula, they would be much more of a hit. But I feel like anything outside of these like little 10 things are crap. I said it, okay, because it is. But guys, look at this. It's beautiful. Okay, let's talk about Dose of Colors. I have quite a few Dose of Color palettes, but the number one to me is the Friendication palette from Desi and Katie. I'm sure this is like everyone's favorite from them. But I just love like the color story. I just love how like easy and put together it is. Like, I don't, like I can just easily like open this up and like have an idea for the day. Like, I'm kind of want to go this direction. I can just open this up and like instantly be like, know exactly what I'm going to do. Like, sometimes I'll be like, yeah, I kind of want to go for like this kind of an eye look. And then I'll like go through my palettes. And sometimes, you know, I'll be like, oh, I think this one will match more what I want to do. And it can take me like, you know, 20, 30 minutes to like figure out what shades exactly I want to go in with. With this one, I never have that issue. It's just so good. The palette, the quality, the shimmers. I love this palette. This was raved about for the longest time, and it's really, really easy to see why, and I love this. Next up, Urban Decay. For me, it's the Naked Cherry. I know everyone's always like, the Naked Honey. I don't know. Like, I like the Naked Honey, but like, I love this one. This was actually gifted to me from one of my like best friends in like the entire world, and I just like that memory, the fact that like it's a color story that I really like, and I love cherries. Like, so in basketball, when I was like in middle school, we would like make signs, and like you could pick like a picture of something that would like be by your name. So like for me, I had like, you know, my name and then like a cherry, right? And like that was me. Like in middle school basketball, cherries, that was like what represented me on the basketball team, was like a thing of cherries. Somebody had like a rubber duck, somebody had, I don't know, like like different things like that. And so this one has meaning because it was given to me by somebody. Also gives me memories of like when I was in middle school. And then the color story is nice. And I really didn't feel like I had a lot of issues with like blendability shimmers or anything like that. That a lot of people, you know, said they experienced. I really didn't experience any of those issues with them, and I still do like to reach into this palette on occasion. So this is why it's number one. Okay, my favorite from Glam Light. This is probably not going to come as a surprise either, but it's my chocolate donut palette. I love this palette. Okay, I love it. The shade right here, Chocolate Sprinkles, okay, is beautiful. Okay, it's like this like orangish like color, and it's got like green and champagne and red, orange kind of shimmers. And then the shade White Chocolate, okay, it's like purple and, oh gosh, well, yeah, there we go. So it's like purple and then like, I don't know. So on the hand, it definitely looked super purple, but like as you can see right here, it's like this champagne silver kind of color. Absolutely beautiful. The mattes are absolutely beautiful. All the other shimmers equally beautiful. This is supposed to be a highlighter for the face, obviously way too dark and gold for me, but again, it makes a very beautiful like on the eye look. This palette is so good. All right guys, and that is it for today's video. That is going through my favorite palettes from every brand that I own. Some of them are my favorite because I own nothing else, but overall, I own a lot of palettes. Yeah, I really do. I have an issue, and I've even like decluttered recently. Like within the last 6 months, I've decluttered, and I got rid of quite a few eyeshadow palettes, and yet here we are with more. Yeah. Okay guys, let me know what you guys think down below. Did I mention any of your favorite palettes? What are some of your favorite palettes from your collection that you guys are loving? Let me know all of that down below. Also, if you are new here, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to click the little bell so you're notified of all my future uploads. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up so that way I know you guys want to see more like this. Let me know what you guys think of story time at the beginning of the videos. Let me know if that's something you're into, something you're not. Let me know all of that, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.